Bam! What is up, guys? We are here. We are live. And what a debacle that was. John, this was I think we'd agree, 6 touchdowns on 6 drives. Not good. Not good, Bob. Talk to me at a high level about, everybody knows we're on Tuesday, not Monday, so we're a little less of the kind of recappy, they lost this way. Talk to me at a little bit of a high level about what happened. How did it get this bad? That bad?
Well, first of all, the Cowboys just plain old fashioned got their butts kicked up front. Defensive line, especially the defensive tackles, were getting moved, getting displaced out of their gaps with regularity. Um, that led to a plethora of other issues that were created in the defensive structure. The linebackers were indecisive, fitting their holes because they had two open gaps because the nose tackle wasn't in the proper gap, so they have to be indecisive while a blocker's coming up to try to block them. That created a lot of issues. And then when the Saints tried to go and run on the perimeter using a lot of crack tosses, crack pitches, the Cowboys crack replace fundamentals were not even apparent. They were slow. I think it was an alignment problem. Mike Zimmer talked about that a little bit in his and McCarthy talked about it in their little post-game press conferences on Monday. They talked about how they were going to change some alignment things, and I think that has to do definitely when opposing teams are using those condensed formations, bunch formations, where they can generate those type of crack blocks on the Cowboys edge defenders, who are, their best run defenders on Sunday were DeMarcus Lawrence and Micah Parsons. And the Saints just did an extremely good job scheming around Micah, scheming around D-Law, not allowing them to make an impact on the game. And obviously the run game had a big thing to do with that. The linebackers, even when they were hitting the hole hard, they were getting turned. They were getting turned in the hole, and that was leaving creases that would allow Alvin Kamara especially to have good gains. We saw that happen with Maris Liufau on, I think, 3 or 4 occasions against the Saints. And then the play action passing game, off the running game, the play action passing game was giving the Cowboys a ton of fits. The second level of the defense, because they were so worried about the run game, they were flying up to fit the run so quickly. It created massive voids between the second and third layers of the Cowboys defense. And then we saw the issues that creates, especially when you have cornerbacks who are playing off with outside leverage. When you get those in-breaking routes, it's really hard to chase and run with them when you don't have the second level defenders kind of deterring or condensing those throwing windows for the quarterbacks. And that's just not what the Cowboys had. It was just a really all-around, very, very poor performance, basically, by every level of defense.
I think you summed it up pretty well. They got their butts kicked in way too many ways. Mm-hmm. In way too many. I watched the Carolina Panthers game against the Saints the week before, and it looked very similar to this game. Like, I remember seeing Carolina defensive tackles getting blocked 8-9 yards down the field going, oh, this is a Carolina thing. The Carolina Panthers aren't an NFL team. This won't happen to the Cowboys. And then bam, it happened, right? Like, all of a sudden, the Cowboys defensive tackles are 8-9 yards down the field. They're the ones getting planted. And now the Cowboys defensive tackles were never going to be the strength of their team, but I didn't think it was going to be like that.
I mean, the fact that the Cowboys, they had over 650 pounds on the interior defensive line, just getting their, for lack of a better term, their butts were just getting kicked constantly. Especially, Linval Joseph was awful. He was awful. But Jordan Phillips, man, it was
bad.
He was another level of bad. Like, this is why, like, when the Cowboys traded for Jordan Phillips, I was very iffy on the trade. He was better than what the Cowboys had, especially at a backup 3 technique spot. But the dude was a third stringer on the Giants, and we know the Giants aren't exactly, littered with crazy talent interiorly outside of Dexter Lawrence. The fact that he was a third stringer for them and then go look at who their second stringers were. I guarantee you never heard of them before.
They're not good. So
it's just he's not the answer. And that the fact that he's 320 plus pounds and the best thing he does is rush the passer, it's just the most mind-blowing thing that the Cowboys thought that this was the guy that was going to help them defend the run. It's like they got 650 pounds of fraud on the interior defensive line, and it just showed itself over and over and over and over and over again on Sunday. It was just so infuriating to watch, these two veterans mess up things that are, day one teaching installs, staying connected to your gap, playing with not straight up pad level, doing all types of things, just, taking on blocks with the proper hand placement, taking on blocks with the proper base. These little details created massive issues, and they made guys like Cesar Ruiz look like he was goddamn Tyler Smith and Zach Martin combined. He was just completely road grading the Cowboys defensive tackles throughout the entire game. And then guys like Mozzie Smith wasn't great, but he was probably the best defensive tackle of the game, and he didn't even
say the same thing.
Yeah. Osa Odigizua, I thought it was arguably the worst game that he's had as a Cowboy. He was getting blasted off the line on some occasions. Now, he did have some occasions, especially toward the end of the game when the game was already out of hand, that he had some penetration where he was able to make some plays, but it was too little too late. It's just especially for someone like me that really focuses on the defensive line play in particular, to see like how poor and how the lack of fundamentals and all of this, especially from players that are supposed to be veterans in this area, guys who have experience in this kind of Zimmer defense, it was just completely disheartening to watch.
On that note, let's watch it. What do you say? Yeah, so we're going to focus on the defense this week. We spent last week looking at the first half offense. We probably won't have time to do the whole first half, although there's a couple of really short drives from the Saints in here, and the Cowboys did a good job possessing the ball in the first half quite a bit. So we may get through the whole first half, we may not, but we're going to get through a decent chunk of this. And it's not pretty, and it's not going to be, and that's kind of that's the way the cookie crumbles on this, unfortunately. So, John, first play from scrimmage here. 1st and 10.
Now look at Micah taking on. He had 3 blockers in his vicinity, made the play. I thought he honestly was the only defensive player that had anything that could resemble a good or decent performance, especially when you consider all of the attention that he was drawing from the Saints offense.
Yeah, that is something you have to give Clint Kubiak a ton of credit for, is the way he handled the Micah Parsons assignment.
Mm-hmm. It all looked like it was going to start well.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that like even here, like Mozzie gets off the ball well. Clark fills. Wilson's got the force.
Mm-hmm.
Micah's fighting through 3 guys. You got backside. You got pursuit coming down the line. There's nowhere for him to go.
You have somebody playing contain, Dono.
Exactly. Dono's the force on the outside playing contain. He keeps him from getting to the edge. It all looked like it could be so good.
Yeah, right here we're like, okay. All
right, 2nd and 9. Like if you can live in 2nd and 9 against one of these kind of teams, you're going to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a whole lot here, I don't think. This
is one of those that's just it's a good scheme, these type of plays are going to happen, especially, when they do a good misdirection and they hide everything really well. plays like these are going to happen, and you just don't want them to make them chunk plays. And I think that's what the Cowboys did here.
Yeah, it looks a little bit like Micah's looking for somebody to hit instead of looking for the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden he realizes it and the ball's on the edge. And this Shaheed dude is a problem, like just in general.
Yeah.
And we'll get to the big play in a little bit, and we'll probably have a good fun discussion about that. We had a little bit of one on Twitter, but we'll have a good fun discussion about that play and that idea. But you run this kind of counter action with the fullback loop from Taysom Hill with the little quick pitch to one of the fastest players in the league. That might be a problem for a lot of people. And then you're in third and short is like a nightmare. Because you want to be able to rush the passer on third and short, but because it's third and short, you still have to have Mozzie Smith on the field. And because you have Mozzie Smith on the field, but you still want to get 3 pass rushers, now you got to go to 2 real linebackers plus Micah Parsons in a in a 12-person, kind of 12. This Taysom Hill dude is just, he's annoying to me because he doesn't actually do a whole lot, but they just use him in a whole bunch of stupid ways that cause a bunch of problems. But like this idea right here is so much of the Saints offense right now. It's that, like, if you look at this is an 8-man protection, 2-man route combination on third down. Like, the primary concern for Clint Kubiak right now is for Derek Carr to have full confidence in the protection in front of him.
Yeah.
He's going to throw so many bodies at protection that Derek Carr is going to have the opportunity to wait for these guys to run away from coverage.
Yep. And you see the linebackers get sucked up so that it creates that void in the second level where the linebackers can't condense that throwing window coming across the middle.
And this is why third and short sucks. Is because if this is 3rd and 7, those linebackers don't care if he, like, that's the thing that's that's like the crappiest little, there's not any real run fake.
The running back doesn't even fake it.
The running back doesn't move. The offensive line just slides to the right, and there's this little slip action, slice action from Hill. But it's like there's nothing there that says, hey, they're running the ball here.
I mean, one of the first principles when you hear people talking about playing linebacker, even at like the high school level, is you read hat level to determine play action. If their hats are coming low, they're playing run. If they stay high, then it's going to be pass. And you see they all stay high.
Well, bunch of high hats. Nobody's coming downhill, and yet we got safety flying down. We got linebacker flying down. We got another linebacker here flying down. Luckily,
off the edge.
Luckily, we have a middle of the field safety. Otherwise, this would have been a touchdown to the big post. Parsons coming off the edge here. That's going to get picked up though. Not great, Bob.
Not great at all. Already.
I think they're also, let's go ahead and have this little chat right here. We have 3 linebackers on the field. Let's notice who they are. We talked a lot about how well DeMarcus Clark is playing in camp.
Bah, I hate it. We need our guy Overshown in.
Yes, exactly. You take, I don't understand the need to put Leofau on the field.
Yeah.
And that's not even necessarily a criticism against Leofau. It's just that 6 days before this game or whatever, Micah Parsons is talking about how Overshown is a future All-Pro. And now all of a sudden
He was arguably the Cowboys' best defender week 1.
Oh, yeah.
And the fact that they like couch it as in like, oh, we didn't know we were going to play a lot of, nickel last week. So that's why he played more. And then we didn't know we were going to play so much base. This like, did you do your research? The Saints use Taysom Hill as that pseudo tight end, running back, fullback, wing back, whatever the heck they want to call him, offensive weapon constantly. They've been putting people in base week 1. I don't understand why they didn't think that. And I don't even understand why Overshown isn't in base in the beginning. Why is he only a nickel linebacker? People keep talking about, oh, well, he's not great getting off blocks. Did you watch Leofau this week? Is he is he better at getting off blocks by any estimation? Like, this was one of the very few good plays he made the entire ball game.
And he didn't get blocked.
It's like, I don't understand the excuses people make for why Overshown wasn't on the field make no sense when you under the guise of, well, Leofau is going to play there. Like, he's better than Overshown at literally almost anything when it comes to linebacking at this stage of their careers. And it's especially weird for somebody like Zimmer, who usually doesn't like to play rookies that much.
Yes, exactly.
I honestly think it has to do with Leofau was around more during the offseason, whereas Overshown was, with the injured guys until training camp. So Leofau was around, spent more time around Zimmer, got to build the quote unquote trust, I suppose, more in game type situations in practice and OTAs and minicamp or something. So maybe he earned more trust in that way, but I just don't understand how you can see the way Overshown contributed week 1. And not only how it's not like he only contributed in one facet. He was great against the run. He was great against the pass, blitzing, coverage. I don't understand. It just makes no sense to me. No matter what way you couch it, no matter what explanation you give it to me, I just don't think it makes any sense.
Yeah, and you can see Kubiak playing Where's Waldo with the Cowboys linebackers on this play.
Yeah, he was doing the Shanahan.
Yeah, and
so I'm going to pick on you today, sir.
So you've got this kind of lead. For some reason, my ink's not showing up on the screen, but you got kind of this lead screen thing developing out here. And then behind it, they're going to run like a spacing sort of concept here. And then just watch Eric Kendricks, the Mike linebacker, right there. Oops. Was that it? Yeah, this is the same play, I think. Yeah. Watch Kendricks.
If it was his hip that was hurt before week 1, he played great week 1.
Right.
Did it get worse for week 2, even worse?
Yeah, just watch his eyes. He's going to eat this eye candy right here from Kamara in a big way. Look. I mean, it's pretty clear what coverage they're playing. Call it some version of quarters, call it some version of 2, whatever you want to call it. It's a middle of the field open coverage with
5 underneath defenders.
It's a middle of field open coverage, and because of the way that Diggs plays it, it makes me think it's some version of 2.
Yeah.
Middle of the field open, 5 underneath, 2 deep, 5 under. And where on earth is Eric Kendricks going?
It's one of those things where it's almost like, you see teams with those smash concepts use those high lows to create a stretch on the flat defender. It's like they're using the screen to pull the hook defender here to the wide side of the field to create that opening in the middle, and Kendricks just took the bait.
Yeah, it's like
the Cowboys already had enough defenders over there to defend the concept.
Yeah, and it's funny because if you look at it, what it really looks like they're trying to do is create, I hate that my drawing's not showing up on here, but they're trying to create like a flat 7 where they have a guy to the flat down here and then a corner route up here, which is like super classic cover 2 beater. You're trying to high-low this corner right here. And they get exactly what they want. Like Trayvon comes flying down hard, and you don't get expansion here, and they get exactly what they're looking for. The whole shot is wide open. And it's open even before he makes the throw. Like, it's open here, before they react to the throw at all. He could have put that ball up there. But this is, take the easy, take the layup right in front of your face that's wide open too. That's perfectly fine. Easy first down. Like it was just way too easy.
And you can see that Kendricks is motioning to Clark after the play. Like, that's my bad. That's my bad. When Kendrick sees that drag route coming across, he shouldn't get that wide.
No, not at all.
Especially when the quote unquote number 3 is in a blocking position in front of Kamara. He's just a lead blocker. He's not showing any receiving threat whatsoever. Just doesn't make much sense. I don't know. Just one of those things that happens.
Just bad eyes. You play defense with bad eyes, you get beat. All right, first down. Like a bear front almost.
Not almost. It is a bear front. Yeah,
I know, but it's a bear front. It's just weird because Marshawn Nealon playing in in the B gap is not like not what I think of as like I'm going to beef up and stop the run kind of front. But
more play action. Look at the layers. Get sucked up. There's nobody in the intermediate of the field. Easy throwing window.
And again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, because he was there too. 8, because he was there for a little bit. Guys in protection. 2-man route. Massive play.
And the offense loves when they can get coverage to defenders to cover grass. Don't cover no situations, and that's exactly where Kendricks is in the middle of the field.
Yep.
He's basically wasted as a coverage defender there, and all that is because they get pulled up by the play action. It messes with their eye level, messes with their ability to hit their landmarks, see the distribution of the receivers, all of that. Oh, I remember this one. Get ready. Well, what's Jordan Phillips doing? What's my boy?
Defensive tackle gets
in the end zone. He gets in the end zone before Kamara.
He scores a touchdown before the running back does.
Yeah, look at impressive. Good job. Way to go, bud. Look at how high he is. Look at how high Phillips's pad level is compared to Cesar Ruiz. You're not going to win in the NFL like that. And look at where the hand positioning is. He's not only his pad level too high, his hands are too high. He has no leverage. He has no ability to generate power. He has no ability to root himself in the ground and hold his ground. It's just a litany of technical errors leading to him just straight up getting his butt kicked. And then you have Linval Joseph, who's the slowest player on the field is trying to backdoor a reach block.
That's what I was about to say.
Look at this. I'm DeMarcus Lawrence. I'm Micah. Oh, wait, no, I'm actually really slow.
I'm 40 years old. I'm not here to backdoor stuff.
I'm 340 pounds. And you saw that Mike Zimmer mentioned the same thing. He's like, we played under some blocks when we shouldn't have. This is exactly. Somebody should make a video where it's Zimmer saying that, and this video is overlaid onto it with a spotlight on Linval Joseph. Like Golson, like everybody talks about Golson getting choke slammed by Penning here, but he sets a good edge. He forces Alvin Kamara to cut back inside, which is where your boy Linval should be, which is where your boy Jordan Phillips should be, right there to be able to make the tackle, but they're too busy doing nonsense.
And it's where Eric Kendricks should be.
It's where Kendrick should be, but Lenval did nothing to get to slow the
he's trying to backdoor a combo block.
Yeah, it's like, what are we doing? It's like the thing that's most infuriating is he's a veteran. He's been in this scheme for forever, and he knows Zimmer's not cool with that. He knows that's something he can't get away with, but yet for some reason he did it. Like I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, like if you're gonna play under this front side part of this combo, like if you're just gonna let the center go, you have to beat the guard play side. Like if you're gonna let the center go, like he basically does here, you have to be in this gap right there.
Because then you're already knowing the linebacker is going to get blocked there, so you have to squeeze that A gap.
Exactly. If you're going to let this guy go up here and block your linebacker, you have to then put your linebacker in position to succeed by getting front side here and making this running back come back further this way, which then gives your linebacker the opportunity to fall back away from that.
Perfect. Yes, exactly.
But the way he does it is he lets that guy go and tries to backside or tries to fall back.
And like
two full gas.
Actually, a really good job being the force, pushing hitting the fullback, helping cause Kamara to have to come inside. Same foot, same shoulder, outside arm, free, exactly the way you draw it up. But too bad your two defensive tackles hang everybody out high and dry, and it leads to this. It's like this is exactly what we've been talking about from the Cowboys for what feels like damn 200 years, about the defensive tackle play, about how it erodes the structure of the entire defense's ability to play the run. Sorry, sound so upset.
No, that's you ready to sound upset? Let's sound upset. You ready?
Yeah. Oh, geez.
Okay. Here's the big post touchdown. Same idea. Let's talk about middle of the field coverage, and let's talk about why the Saints for 2 weeks in a row now have been able to cook people for deep posts for touchdowns, even though modern defenses with the two deep shells and the middle of the field open are supposed to be the antidote to explosive pass plays. So let's talk first about Donovan Wilson. And again, my line's not showing up and it's going to aggravate me, but you can see my pencil, so that's okay. Donovan Wilson's responsibility on this play, they're in some sort of quarters. Like the way they're playing it, it's some version of quarters.
Yeah, it looks like.
So in that, this out here is kind of a one-on-one type situation out here. But because of the fact that he's reduced inside, Dono still has to supply support against any vertical stem. So if this receiver out here runs a vertical stem, Donovan Wilson's eyes and his feet are going to come to that side. That's not a bust. That is
especially with the number 3 not coming across the field.
Exactly. So in a 3-by-1 set, this backside safety over here, and you can see his eyes start. His eyes are starting over here at number 3 to the strong side, because so many of these coverages, when teams were playing cover 3 all the time, the way they would beat cover 3 is they would bring this number 3 way the heck across over here. And they would run like a post here to keep the post safety in the middle and run a big deep crosser and hit it over here. His eyes are there. When we get the vertical stem, he's going to play over the top of that. He's doing what he's supposed to do. What that means is that he is not going to be in position, especially this is the biggest problem for me. You wind up with a receiver who happens to be one of the fastest receivers in the NFL, in a one-on-one, two-way go against a safety who's moving backwards. And it is so incredibly easy as an offensive coordinator to get this exact look. All you have to do in these quarters looks is give this backside safety a vertical stem to deal with, either from this guy or this guy, number 3, and you are going to isolate a reduced wide receiver against a safety who's running deep. And you can hit this almost anytime you want to.
The problem is that teams usually find out is pass protecting for that long.
But again, this is what I'm saying. It doesn't take 5 guys in coverage or in route to beat this. This is another 8-man protection with a check release from the running back. Like, this is not, hey, we're going to bombard the defense and overrun this defense with guys. This is we're going to protect with everybody, and we're going to run right at both safeties. And we know that their assignment is going to put them in a bind that they are not going to be able to handle. And that even if, because Dono actually does a pretty darn good job. Because
I think Hooker is the main issue here from the safety perspective. I think actually Dono played it pretty well, given, like you said, the vertical stem by the number 1, all the different things. Like the fact that he saw the post coming over the top is a good thing as well.
Exactly.
Because a lot of safeties won't even see that.
Yeah, here he's getting ready to drive on this crosser that they've already hit a couple of times.
Mm-hmm.
Because he knows he will, because Kendricks is already running out of the way of it.
And and he doesn't know who they're throwing the ball to. The receivers are so close to each other right now, and Derek Carr's setup would be so similar. Like, he doesn't know that he's going to throw, if he's going to throw that dig, the deep dig, or he's going to throw the deep post.
Yeah, because the ball coming to the dig is going to come to, about here on the hash, maybe a little outside the hash. On the post, it's going to go, we saw it right between the hashes. Mm-hmm. So his alignment is going to be basically the same for both of those throws. So again, this right here, this play, this exact idea is why even when the whole league was moving to these middle of the field open coverages, I was saying, I didn't say it too loud because I'm not going to argue with the whole NFL, right? But I still believed that the best defense in the league features a safety in the post. Because if there's a safety in the post, that throw, the 80-yard touchdown throw, is not even on the menu for the quarterback. If Derek Carr drops back right here and one of these safeties has rolled and is standing on top of the star, he doesn't even consider throwing this ball. But as soon as he hit the top of his drop, and they were playing middle of the field open, he knew, I got him.
And that also a part that I want to point is watch Hooker's kind of pursuit angle as he comes out of that speed turn. He falls off. He doesn't try to stay connected to that upfield hip. He falls off because he sees Wilson, and I think he just kind of like, oh, Wilson's got it. It's like you need to stay capped. You need to stay capped there.
I'll be honest with you. I don't think he had a shot to stay capped even if he tried. He's out athleted there so bad.
Yeah. You're probably right. You're probably right.
By the time he has to, and this is the problem right here. As soon as he makes that move right there, he's done. It's a touchdown right now. The only hope the Cowboys would have on this play is if Dono didn't bite here on this and just stayed over the top, which is not his assignment. That's not his job.
Yeah, but it's one of those things. It's like, anybody that has time, go on YouTube and look up Steve Spagnuolo talking about the basic coverages, and he'll break it down really simply. He says cover 4 or quarters coverage is the most riskiest type of coverage because you don't have the layers of deep coverage. You have 4 different defenders who are all covering a different quarter, but there's not layers like there are in the different ones. And because the safeties are aligned at 10 to 12 yards instead of, the 15 to 18 yards that you are in like a cover 2 or a cover 2 Tampa, those type of things.
Yep.
It's a lot more. It's a much higher risk, high reward coverage. You see teams that play a lot of quarters because the safeties are able to insert in the run game so well. So that's good against, RPOs, against zone reads, those type of things. They work really well against those type of situations. But you see against these play action shot plays, they're really risky because the layers of the deep coverage is not the same as it is in the other basic coverages. Obviously, there are things that you can do within quarters to make it easier. Like Nick Saban is the kind of, I don't want to say the inventor, but the guy who has popularized a lot of the match quarters, a lot of the nuances and a lot of the subtle changes that are made to combat these type of issues that he would see on a week by week basis. But obviously that was not the case here. Like quarters coverage is for sure risky. It's 100% a risk. And it's also risky for the outside corners too. Say they're running, vertical routes and they're playing closer to the line of scrimmage. If they didn't get beat deep, they don't have the deep coverage help like they would have in a cover 2 because the safeties are sucked up a little bit more and they're a little bit more inside closer to the hashes, whether instead of being more with a wider alignment towards the numbers.
I've just never been a fan of quarters coverage for that exact reason. Because here's the thing, and you brought up the point, I mentioned it on Twitter, and you said, and it was valid. Well, then why do middle of the field open coverages statistically consistently do a better job of preventing explosive plays? I think there's a big difference between an 18-yard completion for a first down that's considered an explosive play and a 70-yard touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
I would rather give up an 18-yard completion and live to play another down than give up a 70-yard touchdown any day. And like you said, unless your pass rush is just monstrous, and if they're going to play, and the other side of that coin is you're committing to rushing 4 basically when you're playing quarters.
Mm-hmm.
So you're committing to rushing 4, but it doesn't take 5 guys out in routes to get a 70-yard play against quarters. And because of that, it just creates this dynamic where teams are going to start doing this. They're just going to run dudes right at safeties, and they're going to muck up the protections, and away you go. And it's there's a reason why offensive scoring and all that kind of stuff has been going down, and yet teams keep moving to these Shanahan offenses because these guys do this stuff. These guys know how to hit this stuff. Because, we talk about the cyclical nature of the NFL and all this other kind of stuff. There's a reason why these middle of the field open coverages went away in the first place.
Yeah, and like you said, it's all cyclical. The play action shot plays have always been kind of the Achilles heel of quarters coverage, not only because of all the reasons I mentioned before, but the safeties are a big part of the run fit in quarters.
Mm-hmm.
They have to run that alley because you're not gapped out in the box. You have to have people inserting versus the run, and when you have people playing have run and pass responsibilities on any given play, that's going to create these type of big play opportunities for the offense. And honestly, we saw big play opportunities for the Browns offense multiple times in week 1. They just didn't convert. We saw the one to Amari Cooper that he dropped. We saw ones where Deshaun Watson was very inaccurate for people that were open down the field. I wonder if they were able to connect on those like the Saints were, if our kind of tones would be, instead of being like what happened between week 1 and week 2, it might be something like this is kind of a consistent issue for the Cowboys defense thus far. And kind of goes into what we were saying about a Zimmer defense, how, at the beginning of seasons when he's in a new place, it's a little bit of a slow start.
Yeah, it comes back to, the kind of old school way of playing offense was to run the ball and take massive deep shots.
Mm-hmm.
right? And that's because teams were playing these two deep. They were playing Tampa, they were playing quarters, all that kind of stuff. And and then teams would hit these shots. And then defenses realized, hey, giving up this shot to the post is like the worst possible thing that can happen to us.
Mm-hmm.
Let's stop doing that. Let's close the middle of the field and play bully ball up front, and we'll be pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
And then teams figured out how to hit 18-yard shots and 20-yard plays against that with relative consistency. And
oh my God, a good play versus the run. Wow.
Yeah. And still, Cesar Ruiz making one of our defensive linemen.
Oh yeah, man. He looked seriously. He looked like goddamn Larry Allen out there.
Yeah,
right? He was honestly, if you asked me who the best player on the field was, offense or defense, both teams, I think it might have been Cesar Ruiz. Like he was incredible. The screen game too gave him so many issues, and I think it had to do with a lot with the misdirection and the like. You got to give Clint Kubiak a lot of credit for the way he was able to scheme up, manipulate the Cowboys defense, how he was able to really time these blitzes with screens really well. He really had a beat on the Cowboys defensive calls the entire time, it seemed like.
Yeah, that to me was, I think, the thing is that I think he came off of the last series and knew that Zimmer was going to say, okay, you're not hitting this bullcrap 80-yard shot play on us with an 8-man protection because we're playing quarters. So here we go. Now we're going to play closed. Here we go. We close the middle of the field.
Yep.
And we're going to send pressure on second and long to try to beat this play action. Boom. And then, but Kubiak was ready. Boom. Drop the screen in. Nobody home in the middle of the field because they were all pressuring.
DeMarcus Lawrence, all hustle. Too bad he's slow now.
He's just old.
And honestly, it's like the defense doesn't play it like that poorly. Like Kendricks, he doesn't get put out of position. He's there. But it's just the Cowboys have allocated so many players to rushing the passer that they don't have the necessary reinforcements to pursue the ball and stop this play. Kendricks, it's tough when you have to beat a blocker and make a tackle on such a shifty runner like Alvin Kamara.
Yeah, this is like the perfect, like I said, the timing of this call was just perfect because Clark's got a free run right here. Like Clark has a free run. Whether Lawrence would have beat the blocker if it was a real pass play, who knows?
Yeah, no, that guy was just letting him go.
Probably. Yeah, he was trying to bluff him to get him to jump inside. He oversets. Lawrence takes the bait. Ball's out, and now it's freaking punt return middle. Let's go.
And notice, too, one thing that you noticed is they threw the screen to the opposite side of Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons has been really good thus far in his career of running down same side screens because if he was in that DeMarcus Lawrence position, I'm not going to say there's 100% chance that he's going to run it down, but there's a much higher probability that Parsons is going to be there is going to get there back in time to make a tackle than someone like, obviously DeMarcus Lawrence, who's just not as athletic in his, never been that athletic, even when he was younger, but even more pronounced now.
You got 6 Cowboys behind the play.
Yep.
When he catches the ball. 6 Cowboys behind the play, 1 Cowboy getting blocked.
And the rest are in man, so they're not looking,
Yep. And by the time they catch it, like I said, at this point, it becomes punt return middle, and he's running away from the punter.
Another thing that plays into your into one of your less held beliefs, at least from an NFL perspective, is cornerbacks need to look back and check the ball. Most defensive back teachers always say keep your eyes on your man, because if you don't have your eyes on your man, you won't know where he's going. Whereas you have been an advocate of kind of the Trevon Diggs style, where you're always taking little peeks back to see what's going on, where the ball is going, play the ball. That's another kind of little situation that kind of plays into your ideology of defensive play.
And then by this point, man, you're like the 3 of the last 6 plays or whatever that they run have gone for 50 yards plus or something. And
this
now
is a bad edge set by Nealand. He gets wide in too much. Obviously, we see Linval Joseph getting taken for a ride here. It's like, this ain't fun. He gets reached again. Who would have guessed? No one. Like, here's the, like, I don't know. It's just, like, the one thing that you can maybe do if you're the Cowboys, if you have, like, these guys like Linval Joseph in the game and they're going to get reached, is just to play a lag technique with that nose tackle. But if you're going to play a lag technique, that means you got to change the alignments of the linebackers so that they can play straight downhill rather than, having to come over the top of these type of things. Like you have to change the alignments of Kendricks and Overshown a little bit. But I don't know what you're going to do. Like, it's just tough when your nose tackle's getting his butt kicked like this and not being gap sound, like, especially when they add in, the sift blocks where somebody's coming across, adding a gap backside. You see Luafau, what is he doing? He's being indecisive here because he has to take on 2 gaps because Kendricks has fallen back to the A gap with a sift block. Like, it's incredibly difficult. It's incredibly difficult when your interior defensive line isn't doing their job. It makes the linebackers look silly. Because Kendrick, like, I posted this clip yesterday and people were saying that Kendricks hit the wrong gap. He didn't hit the wrong gap. He fell back to where he was supposed to be. There just wasn't supposed to be a 320-pound, traffic cone right there.
And Leofau, for me,
continue.
This is that indecisive thing you're talking about. Mm-hmm. If instead of that little half-step hesitation, I'll see if I can pause it on the right point. Yep. Instead of that little hop right there, if he same foot, same leg, same shoulders, right into the offensive lineman's chest now, or a step before now, he closes both of those gaps just because of how close he is to the other 2. Mm-hmm. But as soon as he hesitates and backs up, now that gap opens up.
But it's also one of those things where, like, you are 100% correct, 100%. But I understand the indecisiveness when you have 2 free gaps now, and you're like, do I jump inside to take away the inside? Oh, now I see Kamara leaning outside. Let me get outside, and then you're SOL at that point.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And it's because he's a rookie. You got to hit that. It's one of those things you got to play hard, play fast, and even though there's no gap there, you got to use the offensive or the the guard's momentum and use use his backside to clog the hole where Joseph should have been.
Yes, and he even, the thing that's a little, I don't know, frustrating, scary, whatever, is it looks like his instinct tells him to do it. Mm-hmm. Because right there, he comes downhill hard. And then all of a sudden he stopped. And it's like, is he scared? He's probably scared of play action because he's gotten play action. They got play action to death for a quarter already.
I also think he sees Kamara settle his feet there. So he doesn't know, is he going to cut it outside? Is he going to try to string it outside to the, to that C gap? Or is he going to bang it inside to the B gap? So it's like the things that Le'Veon Bell used to do kind of a lot that would kind of mess with linebackers as run fits a little bit is kind of, I think, what happened there, in addition to all the other factors we talked. But like you said, if he just plays fast and violent and same foot, same shoulders, that guard immediately, it does close some of the gaps that are created by the poor play from the other players on the defensive line.
Yeah, because the other side of this is, here we're in quarters again, right? So part of this is that the safety's going to have some D-gap, edge, alley, run responsibility. And so instead of saying, okay, my job is to shut down this is the other side of run defense that so many people talk about. We talk a lot about edge setting. Mm-hmm. So much of run defense in the modern NFL is designed to spill the play, not force it back inside.
Yeah, so you give the alley defenders time to insert versus the run.
Yes, because
if you try to box it when you're out gapped, that's when you're gonna allow plays to get to the second level because you have an open gap no matter what. You don't have enough guys there.
Exactly. And because of that, the goal with that, and when we say spill, we mean you're trying to fill everything inside and let the outside gap be the extra gap. So Leofau's got to trust and know I've got an alley runner here. I've got a force player coming behind me. The thing I have to do is stop the vertical momentum of the running back.
Mm-hmm.
So even if he stops his feet, I don't care. My job is and you can see it pretty well from this angle. The gap that Kamar is going to run through before he has the chance to choose inside or outside of Leofau is small enough that if he just is physical, fast and physical, like you said, and assertive in his fit, he can fill that gap and make it where it's one gap because it's small enough that the running back's not going to have the room to go one side or the other. Mm-hmm. The running back's going to see color and he's going to bounce, or he's going to cut back into the defense that's coming front or backside pursuit. Just bad run defense all around. And Trevor Penning doing Trevor Penning things.
Oh, my God. Is he not one of the most annoying players in the NFL?
I mean, Ryan Jensen retired. Somebody's got to do that stuff.
Yeah. Look, I just don't want to see these defensive tackles, man. It just gives me a migraine.
As crazy as it sounds, it's like I wonder if they just need to. Should you not play them together? Like, should you play Joseph with Osa where there's more athleticism? And should you play Phillips with Mozzie where there's more
stoutness, I would say?
Like where there's more athleticism on the other side too.
Yeah.
Like
Mozzie, yeah.
Because Mozzie's not Osa. He's not, one of the most.
He is significantly more athletic than any other nose tackle, though. The Cowboys.
Absolutely. I mean, look at Jordan Phillips going for a ride. Whee!
Oh, Lord. It's.
I mean, he's even playing in a 4-point stance, and then he just stands straight up.
And you have DeMarcus Lawrence. Oh no, not my bad, not DeMarcus Lawrence. Read the number wrong. That's Chauncey Golston.
Mm-hmm.
But he's fighting it like he's playing a 4-eye technique. He's doing actually a pretty good job there.
Right.
He's look at that little subtle hold. You stopped it at the perfect spot. That little subtle hold. That is, you see that. So that was the Justin Smith. You remember him back with the 4?
Oh yeah,
Alvin Smith. He was the king of the subtle hold. Ugh, Jordan Phillips, man, come on. Also, one thing that, go back to the very beginning for me 1 second. Look, this has kind of been his MO throughout his entire career, so it's not going to change. But look at how wide Linval Joseph's stance is. When your stance is that wide, your first step almost always is going to be to step underneath yourself so that you can be mobile. And when you step underneath yourself, what's the first thing that's going to happen to your pad level? It's going to come straight up. And also, while you're stepping underneath yourself, you're not getting the width that you need, and it makes it look at how easy it is to get reached. Look at how slow he is to get to that point where he can even start engaging the block. He's already turned. That's a loss. No matter what, if you're a nose tackle, the running back hasn't even got the ball, but you're 320 plus, you're already turned, and the guard is about to overtake and seal you. That is a loss without even it being a second into the play. And I think a lot of it has to do with the age, the stance, the lack of athleticism, the too much bad weight on his frame, and it's just making it impossible for him to defend these lateral stretch plays where he has to move laterally. Linval Joseph, he's still at the point where if he can still eat up base blocks and vertical double teams really well where he doesn't have to move laterally. But if he is forced to do any movement laterally, he's going to get reached 9 times out of 10. And it's all because of the factors I just stated. And it makes me wonder, like, is this something that's ever going to get better? Because against like the 49ers, what are we playing? The 49ers like week 6 or something, week 7, something like that.
Yep.
He's going to get eaten alive in that situation to the point where I don't think he's a viable player in those situations. Like, I don't know what they're going to do. Ugh, I shouldn't have sounded this upset. This is getting mad at myself.
And the funny thing is, we've done all this, and we haven't even like really shown any of the like ways that they. Looky here, it's like I'm a psychic. I wasn't even thinking about it. So many times you see teams try to chip Micah and then block him with a tackle, or try to block him with a tackle and whatever. The way the Saints handled him was awesome, because instead of hey, we're gonna try to block you with the line of scrimmage. It's like, we're gonna block you at the line of scrimmage, and we know you're probably gonna beat us at the line of scrimmage. And so then we're gonna block you again 2 yards off the line of scrimmage, and maybe you beat that guy too. But by the time you beat that guy too, the ball's gonna be out.
Mm-hmm. And what does that tell you, though, about the rest of the Cowboys pass rush? Just not cutting it. In those situations where Micah has to deal with layers of blockers, where he has to beat 2 different blockers on a single play just to make a pressure, you need your other guys to win and generate pressure. And look, is anybody else even getting close to sniffing Derek Carr there?
Nope, you got somebody buried there. I think it's Osa. You got Osa eating turf. You got kneeling double teamed. You got Tank. Looked like he came off the twist and just kind of, oh, well, I'm not getting through all this mess. Let me stand here and see if I can get my hands up on the ball.
Mm-hmm. It's just not going to cut it. Not going to cut it.
And then you wind up with a linebacker trying to run with Chris Olave across the field on a slant or on a shallow.
And Overshown's probably one of the most athletic linebackers in the league, but you're not going to be able to run with somebody from a dead stop who's dragging across with momentum. It's just
that is one of the more athletic wide receivers in the league at the same time.
Like, he honestly doesn't play it poorly. Maybe the only thing he can do is, I forgot where the line of scrimmage is, but maybe he can collision the drag there.
I almost think you have to. He's like, he's under 5 yards.
So collision the drag there maybe is the one thing that he could have done there, but that's tough. That's tough.
Yeah, because he sees it here, and he just can't and then Olave, it looks like he kind of flattens himself.
Yeah, you see that inside shoulder, he reduces that surface. I think he thinks he's going to get collision there.
Yep.
He's kind of like, nope.
Yeah, because, he's at the, the 47-ish yard line right there. And then by the time he crosses, he's at the 47.5. And then by the time he's in front of him, he's at the 46.
Yeah.
It's not good. Not good at all.
And look at even on this play, DeMarcus Lawrence, great play. But guess why it doesn't work? Because your interior defensive line gets their butt kicked.
And these are the starters. These aren't the ones that we've been complaining about the whole time.
Mm-hmm. And look at the Saints. They did a really bad double team on Mozzie. You have like they're doing the Gracie train on Mozzie. They're not even getting both hands on him. The other dude's pushing behind his back, but still are able to create push. And look at where Osa is. I love Osa, but he's, what is that? 7 yards downfield. Like that is the number one reason why this play doesn't work, because when your defensive tackle is, what is that? 6 yards downfield,
about 5 yards down the field, gets completely sealed right there, completely sealed on the backside already,
immediately. That's a loss.
First step into the play. And it's like the only shot that this play has is if right here Overshone is playing under the backside of that block, which you would never want him to do, right? Like that's one of those like if he does that, he makes a big play here, but if he does it the next time, he's going to not fill the right gap, and it's going to wind up being a touchdown straight up the middle.
And look at Osa gets blocked so far back that it prevents Overshone for taking any pursuit angle. Like he can't play over. Like from there, he only can play underneath. Now, when you have a defensive tackle that far in your lap, it's impossible to play over the top. So you have to play. You have to go under, and it's just there's too much traffic there in your face. You're too slow.
Yeah, by the time he reacts and gets under it, it's too late. The only way that it would have worked would have been if he saw how hard pinning came, is if he reacted to that action right there. Like, look how far across, like how much lateral movement pinning has, and he just replaces hard downhill right then.
But
just
then again,
right over the
star. How many times about play action,
Exactly.
Ugh, man.
Just leaves a nasty taste in your mouth, doesn't it?
Yeah, these defensive the Cowboys have had defensive tackles problems for a very long time, but I'm not sure I've ever seen as bad a performance from like snap to snap to snap to snap to snap as we saw Sunday. Like it is just like it had me like fantasizing about the Antoine Woods years. Like, oh, can we get Antoine Woods back? I'll take that. I'll take that over this garbage.
Terrell McClain would change this defense right now.
Oh my gosh, dude. Big Hank. This wouldn't happen to Big Hank at least. Like Big Hank wasn't perfect, wasn't fantastic, but like he was definitely like way better than this. Ugh. Like I just want to know. I want to know how many cuss words did Zagonia say during the defensive line meetings film room this week. I want to say over under 1 million.
I would not have wanted to be. I would have called in sick Monday. Like
he might try to fight Jordan Phillips. I'm not even kidding.
Oh, I know you're not playing. Punt return left. Here we go.
Oh man. Like, look, like, where's the crack replace? When your edge defender, your force defender gets cracked, you have to replace. And these guys are backing up. Why are you backing up? There is zero pass indications on this play. Zero. Why are we backing up? Where's my replace?
Right here already, the running back doesn't even have the ball, and Jordan Lewis should be like right here.
Yep.
Because it's going to get cracked down. You see the crack. You see the guy you're responsible for in coverage in a blocking posture towards the inside. And this is the thing that, like, nickels have to do this. We've praised Jordan Lewis for doing a good job with this so much. Is being physical in the run game. And because he didn't react.
Even while backing up, he was still slow to react.
Yeah.
Look at how long it takes him to start coming forward. Kamara has to take his first step like he's expecting like a running back pass. And another thing that's irritating about this, what is the first alert that the slot and edge communicate to each other when a team is playing condensed formation with a bunch? Crack alert.
Yep,
Crack alert. That is the number one. Anytime you go to a training camp practice or any team's training camp practice, and you see these teams playing these condensed formations with bunches, the thing you will hear echoed throughout the practice is crack alert, crack alert, crack alert, crack alert. And it's echoed throughout the entire defense. Where is that? Where? It's not there. Poor defense. Extremely poor defense. Bad communication, bad execution, bad everything. And I have people trying to tell me, oh, the edge defenders didn't keep contained. Edge defenders aren't supposed to keep contained versus a crack block, man. That's why there's crack replace rules. It's not just for fun. Sorry.
This might be the last one here.
Yeah, I got to get out of here, but
Yeah, me too.
ugh. Like Diggs actually does a good job there. Diggs does a good job there being the force defender. He forces it back inside. Ugh. But Damone Clark doesn't take a good angle.
And because he doesn't take a good angle, it makes Dono's angle wrong.
Yep. His triangle read was just way off. Like he's acting like he's the B gap defender when he's in actuality supposed to play outside in the C because DeMarcus Lawrence, or what is that, the D? Whatever. It's hard to tell from the wide angle view, but because DeMarcus Lawrence is lined up on head up with that tight end, he's playing inside. He's responsible for the C gap.
So probably on a run to the right, here's your edge defender out here.
And but the thing is, it's two back. So there's an extra gap play side because of that fullback. So Diggs is going to be responsible for what is essentially the E gap.
Right. He's the outside of the outside. He's the container.
On the outside shoulder of the fullback. So that means Clark has to be that D gap defender to play the gap in between the fullback and the tight end. But he's feeling like he's he's playing Osa's spot. Like he expects Osa to get blown up and he's going to play the B gap almost. Like I don't know what he's doing. Like right here, he has to attack that inside shoulder of that tight end.
Yes, this become right here, and again, my ink's not showing up, but that right there becomes his gap. This is Lawrence's. So then as the fullback comes front side here, Diggs' gap becomes outside of the fullback. Clark's becomes between the tight end and the tackle. We could letter him, but it doesn't really matter. Lawrence comes in here. Odighizuwa's got here. Kendricks has this play, this side, and then you've got backside here, right?
Yep.
And then Wilson is going to come up and he's going to have the other side. So you see Diggs get way wide, knowing, and we talked earlier about trust that your alley defender is going to come.
Mm-hmm.
He trusts that his alley defender is going to come fill. And he trusts that Wilson is going to come fill. And then, but instead of playing his gap, Clark tries to go outside of his gap and run over the top of the block.
Mm-hmm. And his angle was way too bad. He came up and then out instead of taking a more direct angle, like a diagonal angle to his gap. He comes straight up and then out like a what is that, like an upside down L type of thing?
Yeah, like a parabola.
There you go. A parabola. Best word.
And so, like, here, again, to me, I have my be big, get in the way thing for offensive line. Like, so much about run defense for me is just getting your leverage in the right spot on the guy who's supposed to be blocking you. And you see Tank do a good job of it. You see Odighizuwa, they get tangled up in each other, but Osa's does a pretty decent job of it. Diggs does a good job of it.
And like you were saying, look at where Wilson's area of pursuit was. He was lining up to run the alley.
Yes.
Because he expected Clark to be more inside there.
Yes. And then all of a sudden now Clark is outside and it's, oh crap, I got to get back in and make him right, which he does. But by the time but now you've got a guy running straight downhill at a safety in a standing still spot.
Ugh. Yuck.
That's the best way to say it, man. That's the best way to say it. It's not pretty. It wasn't pretty in a lot of ways. And there's a lot of people that will say that the quarterback who just got paid $60 million didn't do a good enough job.
Yeah, he did a really bad job of playing interior run gaps on defense.
Yeah, and I mean,
Dak does not get that right. shouldn't have been paid the $60 million.
Right. Like they scored 20 points in the first half against Cleveland. How could they only score 19 against New Orleans? Like, how could they do that? Like, the offense was fine. The offense, could they have scored more points in the second half? Sure. But it didn't matter. If you give up 40 points, you're going to lose. Period.
Yeah.
And
especially because the Saints could have scored more. They ramped it down in the second half significantly. If they wanted to keep the pressure on, say, Cowboys offense was humming as well, they could have kept scoring. The Cowboys did not, like, throughout the entire game. There was no answers.
No answers at all. And it's going to be, I would not have wanted to be in those defensive meetings with Zgognina and Zimmer. And we'll see what comes of it as we move forward through the season. John, I appreciate you so much. Fan rag. That is
old school.
Old school, man. I love it. Guys, thanks so much for joining us. Thanks so much for watching, hanging out with us, watching tape, listening to us talk Cowboys, talking Cowboys with us. We're on Twitter. He's John Owning, @JohnOwning. I keep saying he should be at PFF John, but he's John Owning.
When I was hired, that name was taken, but since then, that guy has left and he's went other places. So I guess I could take it now, but
or you should have been at Owning PFF. That's what you really should have done.
Oh, that
should have been the next one.
That would have been the way to go.
But guys, we thank you so much for joining us. Carter, we'll answer your question real quick. Why do you feel there's such an intense snowball effect with this team? If they get off to a good start, they will roll teams. If they don't get off to a good start, they get rolled. John, quick answer. What do you think it is?
I'm honestly not sure. Like, that's one of those things that I'm very poor at figuring out, like those kind of, cognitive reasons of why there may be issues and why a team may be like a front running team. Like you said, that is, if things are going well, things are going to keep going well. And if things are going bad, they're going to keep going bad. That they may not have that type of resiliency to, to bounce back in those situations. I'm not sure. Is it a coaching thing? Is it a Cowboys culture thing? I'm not 100% sure, but there's definitely an issue in that department, and it needs to get figured out.
I have a theory.
Get paid way more than I do.
I have a theory.
There we go. Let's hear it. I love Joey theories.
That the way the Cowboys defense is built to play is that if the game script puts the defense, the offense, in a position where they have to play the way the Cowboys want to play, the Cowboys will eat you alive. Like, they are the banshee factor on this defense is like out of this world.
You got to trademark that.
Yes, I'm not the first person to say it. So I think it was Nate Tice started talking. Was the first person I heard talk about the banshee factor. But the banshee effect on this defense when they are playing like a wide open game where it's go hunt is like out of this world. But when it becomes a back and forth game of like, okay, we got to get stops, or like when it becomes a game like this where the offense that they're playing against can do anything that they want, it becomes an issue primarily because they don't have the interior play to be able to. They don't have. To me, there's two kinds of defenses. There's banshee defenses and butt kicker defenses. And the butt kicker defense is like the old school Tampa Bay Rays with Vita Vea in the middle and like just like kicking people's butts, right? And the way the Ravens have played defense a lot over the years is like
the legendary Patriots defenses with Vince Wilfork and Dante Hightower.
Yes, exactly. That's the butt kicker style of defense. The Cowboys play a banshee style of defense, which is how you wind up with these 42-7 games. Because when your offense goes out and you get the ball first, and statistics will tell you, data will tell you, always defer. I think this team's got to take the ball every time.
Mm-hmm.
Just because the offense creates the dynamic for the defense immediately. Because if the offense goes down the field and scores, then the defense is immediately like, all right, let's go hunt. Let's go get the ball back for our offense and let's do it again. And it just creates this snowball effect, like Carter said. And I think that, to me, it's the way the defense is built. It's the same thing as like the Peyton Manning Colts back in the day. Like, if you could keep that game balanced, if you could keep that team having to play run defense consistently, you could beat them. Mm-hmm. And that's why they struggle in the playoffs some and, all that kind of stuff. But if they could force you into their game script, they were going to roast you, because Dwight Freeney and Robert Mathis were going to go off and you were just going to be in trouble. And Peyton Manning was going to it's the same dynamic that they have right now in Dallas. And they have tried with, they tried with a first-round pick last year, which is not a half measure. But other than that, they have tried with half measures to fix it. Mm-hmm. And it hasn't worked so far. And it doesn't look good so far.
Here's one thing to make fans really sad. Kind of looking at something in the past that could have changed the trajectory of the Cowboys' defense the way that it is today. 2021 NFL Draft, second round. Cowboys take Mr. Bossman Fat out of Kentucky. He's bad. Detroit Lions take Mr. Aleem McNeil, nose tackle, who has proven to be one of the 5 best true nose tackles in the NFL since he was drafted. Imagine if the Cowboys had Aleem McNeil right now, how much better this defense would be, just from a structure standpoint.
It would feel a lot better, that's for sure.
Yesterday I'm not going to say they win yesterday or Sunday, but
it's a lot like that, though.
It's a lot different. Mm-hmm. Just we showed how often, one player can cause an entire play to go awry. And if you change up that one player, who knows what happens? That's something that could have been changed a lot.
Yep. It was a tough day. The thing is,
hopefully this next week is going to be better against the Baltimore Ravens. I'm not the most bullish on that, but
the funny thing is, I still think this team is going to win like 10 or 11 games.
Yeah.
This doesn't change. Like, this was terrible film to watch, and it was terrible to watch live and all that kind of stuff. It doesn't change my outlook on this Cowboys season like one bit. Like, it's a September football game for a team that's pretty darn good, that has one of the 5 or 6 best quarterbacks in the league and one of the 2 or 3 best wide receivers in the league. We didn't even talk about the offense, the offensive line, Tyler Guyton, Cooper Beebe. We didn't even talk about any of that, because they scored 19 points in the first half.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they were fine. The offense was good. They made a huge play. They moved the ball well. They kind of shut down a little bit in the red zone. There was some stuff we've talked about offline about some stuff we saw that was questionable for us. But the offense was fine, but they just couldn't stop anything.
No,
they couldn't.
And there's not much you can do scheme wise when your defensive tackles are getting their butts kicked. There's no like defensive scheme that's defensive tackle like safe. Like,
Right.
We can just get below average there and be fine. Like, you can hide a Sam linebacker. You can hide other positions on a defense. You can hide a bad strong safety, like you said, when you're playing a lot of single high coverages and those type of things. But you can't hide defensive tackles. No scheme can hide crappy defensive tackle play. So
the only thing that hides defensive tackle play is really good offense.
Yeah.
Like crazy good offense. Like,
to the point where you're making them pass every time, so the defensive tackles aren't that important.
Exactly. Where they have to play a quarter and a half of run defense. And this is the other thing, is that, like, if they don't hit that 70-yard pass and they have to drive down the field, and then the Cowboys come back and drive down the field, and now it's still 14-9 or whatever, or 14-10, like, that feels way different, probably getting close to going into halftime at 14-10 or whatever, than it does at 35-17 or 35-19 like it was.
Mm-hmm.
That's why the 70-yard touchdown is like, I wake up in the middle of the night with cold sweats thinking about the 70-yard touchdown play. But, all right, we're about 20 minutes over. John's got to go. I've got to go. Thank you guys for joining us. Silver Moon Financial, it's my company. If your accounting books suck and you're a business, I can help you. John, thanks so much, man. We will see you on Thursday as we get ready for the Baltimore Ravens. Take care, guys. We will see you later.